Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Wednesday webinar. My name is Brandon Lilly, and joining me today is me. It's the Brandon Lilly Show. It's just going to be me talking today, and right now we want to focus in on LinkedIn marketing, tips and strategies for your small business. Now, you can follow along on this presentation either on YouTube or Facebook. We're live on both channels, and you can view these slides at m360.us/0eb8. Again, that's m360.us/0eb8. Now let's dive into this. During this webinar, we really want to discuss some different opportunities and strategies that are available to you on LinkedIn to help you grow both your business and your online presence. So a couple of things that we're going to be covering is just from the very basics: personal profile, company page, how to craft your message, choose your strategy, and then what you need to do to create and launch. So we're going to be starting pretty basic on here. Now, just a brief overview about LinkedIn. It's a little bit of a different strategy than what you might consider. It's a little bit of a mix between social channels and social media, and then also more of a intent-based search like Google. LinkedIn kind of combines a lot of these different strategies together, where you can't just have an ad strategy and you can't just have a social strategy. You have to have both. And another reason for this is because LinkedIn also requires that anything you're doing on a personal a company page requires that you have a personal profile as well. There's also some ad strategies out there that require a personal profile as opposed to the company page. So we'll dive into those. We'll talk about the different ad possibilities and different strategies that you can implement to get the best out of these. We'll talk about those. If you do have any questions while you're watching us, feel free to chat either on YouTube or Facebook. We'll be sure to answer your questions live on the air. And if you have questions afterwards, you're watching this after a recording, you can always feel free to leave us a comment on YouTube or Facebook. I think I misspoke a little earlier. Feel free to leave us a comment, and we will make sure that we get back to that and answer your questions there as well. So let's go ahead and jump in here really quick. First thing you want to do is you want to update or create, if you're one of the Luddites that doesn't have a LinkedIn profile yet, you want to create and update a personal profile. A lot like Facebook, LinkedIn requires you to have the personal profile that you operate out of, even for company page updates. You can't hide behind a curtain here. You have to have your personal profile in order to create and activate and engage with the company profile. Now, LinkedIn started many, many years ago, and the primary goal was really to be a job board. So the personal page, the personal profile still really reflects that initial concept for LinkedIn, I guess is a great way to put it. So the original concept was to be a job board, and the personal page was structured just like a resume. Today, it still is. And there's this misconception that LinkedIn is primarily a job posting board. Well, it's got 500 million users and over 10 million job posts on it. So you can think about it this way. There's way more users than there are even job posts. And a lot of people are using this for influence. They're using this to grow their own business and grow their own brand. And it's a great opportunity for you to get there. Now, before we dive in a little bit deeper to the personal profile, who uses LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is still actively used as a job board. It's got an incredible amount of job postings. However, it's a fantastic way to connect with business professionals. Business professionals make up the largest margin of LinkedIn users, and those are the people that you're trying to connect. LinkedIn is primarily a B2B style of communication and style of connection, but that's not to say that you can't jump in from a B2C perspective. That business to consumer, direct to consumer still works on LinkedIn because, let's face it, even somebody in a B2B job, they're still a personal consumer. So there's no real wrong way or wrong industry to jump into here. Just consider that as we're talking about this. So first thing, update your personal profile. All this is essentially a brand billboard about yourself. So brand yourself. Brand yourself as it reflects your business. We've got an example of me right here. Got a nice profile picture, or at least I think it's nice. We've got our background, that reflects the brands that I work with and engage with. And then down below, if you were to scroll down, you would start to see a synopsis of myself, kind of like a cover letter. You can see different positions I've held, jobs I've worked at, or places I've consulted. And you can work your way all through that down to a list of skills, list of publications, recommendations that other people have left on my behalf, things like that. Engage with the people around you, build a following. Just like Facebook, you can have people follow your page and you can follow others. You can join groups, just like any social media platform. And you want to treat your personal profile like you would both a resume and a personal profile. So LinkedIn is not extremely tolerant of branching off into conversations that are not business related, not because of a policy, but because it's kind of self-policing by its own users. This is a professional business environment, and most users expect that you'll have that attitude when posting, commenting, or engaging with other users. So keep that in mind. This is a professional environment, and you should stay professional both on your profile and in how you're communicating, especially because you're going to be reflecting your company and your own brand. Let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about the company page. Second step in getting ready to do your marketing is to update the LinkedIn company page. Now, this is fairly similar to your personal profile in the way that it requires different data and information. It is not similar in the fact that it does not require any type of personal information. That's not what this is for. This is essentially the profile page for your company. Who would have thought? You get your logo, your cover image, about us, company details, different things that you specialize in, all these different things. You can have employees go and follow the page. You can have connections that will follow the page. People will see your updates, things like that. Very similar to what you would experience on Facebook with your own company profile. People can engage with your page here. Now, you'll notice in the screenshot, we've got recent updates. So the very top of a page when you're going through there, you'll see the recent updates. And these are posts, feed posts that you make in order to update people about your company, update people about what's going on in the industry, tips, tricks, strategies, anything that you really want to post there, as long as it's adding value. Now, people don't just see this on the company page, but they also see it within their own feed. And if we jump over to the next slide here, we'll see a little bit more about some of the messages that you can utilize. Now, step 3 in deciding what your strategy is going to be and what LinkedIn is going to look like is to craft your message. We've got a couple examples here. You don't always have to use the same thing. Change up your content, mix it up a little bit, share thoughts, concepts, ideas about your services, about products, or you can use your personal profile and engage with other users. By engaging with other users of LinkedIn, you're really able to connect with them and start to build a profile around yourself as a thought leader, a brand ambassador, and a reflection of your business. When people see you, they go to your profile page or they see posts that you've left, and they go to your company page. If your message is similar and you've got some synergy between your messages and your comments, you start to see that you get more engagement. Now, in the examples here, and you can see this at LinkedIn, at Marketing 360's LinkedIn, we like to post a couple of different things. We post our tips and tricks videos, which you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen here. We also like to post design of the day, whether it's logos or web designs or brand examples, things like that. It's a great way for us to be able to share and promote some of the things that we're working on. Additionally, we like to use this as a chance to educate the masses, as it were, about different things related to digital marketing, whether that's social media or lead generation, e-commerce, AdWords, LinkedIn, anything like that. We like to provide tips, tricks, and different data points so people can educate themselves. The more educated your user base is, generally speaking, the higher quality customer they become. So if you're able to provide great information to them at great value, they engage with your brand, they like, share, and comment, and it's just an opportunity for you to connect with them. So that's one of the real values here. So we've talked about building your personal profile, which, let's be honest, is fairly straightforward as long as you've got a gorgeous looking headshot, a great cover image, and you're able to fill in the details that you need from memory. Then you build the company page, and the company page, again, logo, cover image, details about your company, and then you start filling this page with your updates and your content. Now, you can create a content schedule and use different scheduling softwares like Hootsuite or Buffer. You can do it manually if you'd like, but just make sure that you're consistent. This is an opportunity to connect with customers. So just like a business would have business hours and a customer becomes accustomed to knowing when the company is open, if you're following a content posting schedule, your customers will then become accustomed to when they can expect new posts and new updates from you. So that's important too. Consistency is key. So let's move on here. We're going to talk about your strategy now. This is the fourth thing that you need to do. Now, LinkedIn is a little different from some of the other platforms that we're working on because there's a couple of different ad formats to choose from, and they all do very different things. First one is going to be sponsored content. Now, sponsored content per LinkedIn, and I appreciate LinkedIn providing these screenshots for us. It's native advertising that appears in the LinkedIn feed on desktop, mobile, and tablet. So this crosses all three of the different devices used to access LinkedIn. Sponsored content is similar in the way that you would boost posts on Facebook. So if you write a post on Facebook, you boost it. Very similar here. You write your content natively on LinkedIn as a part of those updates that we were just talking about on the company page. And then when you're building out a campaign, you choose to sponsor that content. That's their own phrasing, sponsor content, boost post. It's essentially the same thing. However, one of the major differences is that while Facebook does allow you to eventually get nitty-gritty with the audiences when you're boosting a post, the strategy for building out an audience on LinkedIn is the same for each and every ad platform there, or ad format, more like. So you can choose your audiences, you sponsor your content, and then you're able to pick and choose where you want this to go. Text ads, very similar to what you would experience for Google. Everybody's familiar with a pay-per-click text ad. You can do pay-per-click or cost per impression, CPM. These are ads that appear across the LinkedIn desktop. These are not going to appear on the mobile experience or on tablet. They are very simple headlines, a very simple description, and occasionally, depending on where they show up, they may also contain a small image, which makes them a little bit more unique from other text ads, quote unquote, that you might have experienced elsewhere. Now, in my experience, I've found that unless your goal is many, many impressions and getting your ads in front of as many people as possible, text ads are not always the most beneficial to you. They don't always provide the greatest result. They do get high impressions, but they get very low engagement and a very low click-through rate. Again, on average, your mileage may vary. So keep that in mind when you're building this out. If your intention is brand awareness and growth or message awareness, then text ads might work for you, but I would keep a very close eye on that budget because it can run rampant very quickly. Now, finally, and this is one of my favorite tools to use with LinkedIn, it's the sponsored in-mail. And if you are a LinkedIn user currently, and you should be if you're a business owner, you'll notice that in-mail is very similar to a Facebook message system. However, you can produce sponsored content directly to your targeted audience. And LinkedIn is very specific and careful. Their algorithm ensures that the people that are receiving these sponsored messages have not been inundated or overwhelmed with sponsored messages previously. Now, there's no real data on what this timeline or turnaround looks like, but on average, if and we'll use this as a very broad example, if you as a user have received a sponsored in-mail message in the previous week or possibly 2 weeks, you will not receive another sponsored in-mail message until you're back in the line, So they don't want to overwhelm anybody, which keeps this from seeming extremely spammy. There's a lot of value here because you have high engagement on this. From what I've found, I've seen engagements up to 40 or 50%. That means that when your message is being sent and delivered to an audience that you choose, that audience is engaging with you. It's very, very powerful. And you can see in the screenshot here, an in-mail message just comes into your messenger inbox. It's pure content, just like you would have if you were writing an email. However, if you've built your campaign correctly and actually uploaded all the information that they ask for, you can also take over the right-hand side with a banner image of yourself. So you essentially get to brand the in-mail message area for your company. Now, another thing that differs with the sponsored in-mail is that these messages do not come from the company page. They come from your personal profile. While it is managed within the ad platform, and the ad platform is connected with your company, LinkedIn wants to make sure that there is a lot of personal connection. It's still a social network, so that's still a goal of theirs. So you can create new users. You can connect with other people in your organization. Maybe you want to send messages from yourself. You're the president of the organization. Maybe you're the marketing manager and you need to send these messages on behalf of somebody within the organization. It's not necessarily coming from you, but you're the one managing it. You can connect and request that that person be added to the user database. Very easy. They just approve the request, and then you're able to send on their behalf. They don't have to have any involvement beyond that, except maybe approving the message. Then you send this out. I like to include calls to actions. If you are in an industry where you can take phone calls or you can schedule meetings, then include a Calendly link, in there. A phone number, that's great. But a lot of people want to schedule things on their own time. They know that I'll be free at this time. If you are free at this time as well, then I'll just go ahead and set up a meeting with you. So including a Calendly link in these email or in-mail messages is incredibly valuable. You can also link to your website. You can link to downloadables. You can link, there's all sorts of different things that you can link to. So in-mail is incredibly valuable and at a fairly low cost per open or per interaction. While you'll see that it's a higher interaction than email generally, you are going to see a slightly higher cost. On average, I've seen probably anywhere from $1 to $3 cost per open. Again, your mileage may vary depending on the industry that you're in and the kind of people that you're targeting. That's very key. And that's actually going to bring us over into our next slide. Create and launch. Target, growth, convert. That's your goal. You can pick a myriad of different targeting options to reflect your goals. Here's some of the options that are available across all of the solutions products. Some are required, such as location. You cannot just target globally. It's a waste of your money. Don't do it, and LinkedIn won't let you anyway. You can target by company name. So if you're specifically trying to target a certain company and people that work at that company, so you offer a discount to HP, you offer a service to Caterpillar, something like that. You can target that company, and then anybody who has that listed as their current employer in their profile, you can reach them. You can also break down via industry, and LinkedIn is very good at understanding the different industries and where people fall in that. So that's actually really highly valuable. Now, unlike Facebook, which struggles a little bit on the B2B company side of things, LinkedIn actually does a really incredible job of being able to narrow down the profiles and understanding what industry people are in. You can also target company size. I believe the ratios are 1 to 10, 10 to 50, 50 to 100. So you can really reach a lot of different company sizes, depending on if you service or provide products for small or large companies. Job title, job function, member skills, things like that. Those are all highly valuable. So job title, of course, you can get crazy with, and there's always going to be people that use a title that's just really off the wall. You can get crazy with job titles. LinkedIn will do its best to help you identify job titles that are similar to what you're searching for, but that's definitely a rabbit hole you can fall down. However, job function and member skills are two things that I really like to focus on because you can start to narrow in beyond just what the title is, So you can think of any title. I'm a senior brand director for Marketing 360. Maybe it doesn't exactly express what my skills are and what my job function is. So by focusing on job function or member skills as opposed to job title, you're able to expand your reach a little bit further than you normally would. This also works really well when you're targeting those higher level individuals or decision makers in the company. A decision maker may not always be the CEO, but you still need to reach somebody with executive leadership capabilities. That might be a member skill or a job function. So you can use those to really refine your search a little bit more. Member schools, this is incredible for recruiting if you're specifically trying to recruit people from certain schools. You can also use degrees, which I really like. You're able to target people with a specific type of degree if you find that that's the kind of person who is generally in a job position of a decision-making capability that you're looking for. Fields of study, same thing. Member groups. So member groups, Facebook, is doing their own Facebook groups. People can jump into those. Member groups on LinkedIn has always been a pretty major player in the game. You can join different groups. It helps to develop out your news feed that you're scrolling through, but it also connects people that are interested in a very specific industry or a specific field of study or something like that. You can target these member groups, which is incredible. So you can reach people that are interested in a service, a product, or an industry that you service. And you can target up to 100 active groups within any one of these campaigns. So it takes a little bit of research and it takes a little bit of time, but it's definitely something that you can jump into and learn a little bit more about. Involve yourself in it. This is a great way for you and your personal profile to become a thought leader. Clear point of clarification here. This is not in a member group an opportunity for you to spam people with your business and with your blog or your message or anything like that. That will get you booted very quickly. This is knowledge sharing. And if you are able to share knowledge effectively that is valuable, then everybody will let you stay. If you are spamming them with your business, then you're not going to be allowed to stay for very long. But you can target people in the ad platform that are in member groups. Gender, age, same thing as you would normally see on most advertising platforms, especially the social targeted platforms like this. And finally, job seniority, which I actually kind of like. Job seniority is pretty interesting because you can scale from, I think, 1 to maybe 10 plus years. So maybe you want someone who is brand new in a business. I've worked with a client before who really wanted to reach people that were new into their position and very interested in, we reached out to them with the message of, you're new, we want to help. We want to make you look good in your very first year in this role. Other things that you can do with that is you can target people that have been in their role for a while, maybe because you're specifically looking for senior decision makers or something like that. So you can kind of go both ways, which is actually a lot of fun. Once you've created your audience, and you've already created your ad, that's the sponsored content or the in-mail or the text ad, fairly straightforward. We've chosen our audience here. LinkedIn will show you the average amount of people that it believes you can reach. Your next step is to choose your budget and launch your ads. Now, LinkedIn does have a minimum, and that minimum is at least $10 per piece of sponsored content or per campaign. If you're looking at in-mail or text ads or something like that, that's $10 a day. So there can be a little bit of a budgetary constraint depending on what you're doing, but you do have controls over what time of day and things like that. They do have some day parting and conditional logic there so that you can ensure that your budget is being used wisely. While you are selecting your budget, because you have to select the audience first, LinkedIn will give you some options that it believes are your best bidding options for your budget or for the audience that you've chosen. Now, it will give you some raw examples and say, on average, people targeting a similar audience spend X. And then depending on what you decide to bid per X will help influence what your daily budget should be. Your daily budget will not ever be less than $10. They won't let you set it at that or launch any campaigns below it. So keep that in mind. Once you've launched your campaign, we've targeted, we're growing, we want to make sure that we're converting. This is our time to dive into the analytics. LinkedIn has actually been making some pretty incredible strides in their analytics recently. They're providing more and more data and more information really every day. They are making a lot of strides to turn the LinkedIn marketing platform more into an advertising campaign. Since they were purchased by Microsoft a number of years ago, they've recently purchased Lynda and have turned that into the LinkedIn Learning Center. They are really expanding their reach and expanding their membership. So LinkedIn is absolutely a great place to be as long as you are maintaining your budget effectively and targeting the right kind of people. Now, the optimization process is just like you would see anywhere else. You want to ensure that you are going back through and looking at the data. How many impressions are you getting? Of that, how many are turning into clicks? They're engaging with your content. And the most important thing, how many of those are actually turning into conversions? High impressions, high clicks, low conversions, you've got a problem. You need to fix it. That's a budget waster. Low impressions, high clicks, high conversions, awesome. Maybe you can expand your audience a little bit, get visible to a couple more people, but really the end goal should always be, what is this generating for you in terms of leads or sales? Some of this may be, especially through an in-mail ad, it may be a little harder to track, especially if people are calling or reaching out over email, things like that. So there may be a bit of a manual aspect to this depending on what your goals are. But keeping an eye on everything that you're doing, monitoring your budget, making changes to your content, and very similar to Facebook, you want to ensure that you are adjusting your sponsored content. Don't just post one thing, sponsor that, and leave it for a year. That's lazy and it's not going to get you any good goals, right? Not what you want to do. Keep sponsoring your content as a part of your content generation strategy. This is where the social media side of LinkedIn really kind of comes into play. Just like on Facebook or any other social platform, you would boost your content to get more interaction as you're posting it. You do the same thing on LinkedIn. Don't just create one ad and let it run forever. It's not valuable to you. It will be a waste of money. Final thoughts on this. I think that LinkedIn is absolutely one of the number one platforms that you should be on. And I personally don't care whether or not you're B2B or B2C. There's a lot of value here for both. Now, LinkedIn does skew B2B. We've already talked about that. But with their 500 million users, there is a clear opportunity here for the B2C retailer or the B2C e-commerce side of things. If you offer software or consulting or anything like that, you don't just have to work one-on-one with businesses. You can be a commodities provider, an e-commerce store, anything like that. Because again, at the end of the day, the people that are on LinkedIn, yes, they're business professionals, but they're also people. The targeting may be a little different, and that's where Facebook may be a better opportunity, or Google may be a better opportunity for you there, just simply because Google is intent-based search, regardless of where they are in the sales funnel. Facebook is more of that pre-intent, where we're able to target based on demographic interests and activities. LinkedIn is very much looking for the professional user. But that's not to say that the professional user can't use something that is unrelated to their business, as long as you're able to target effectively. That's everything that I've got. We've got a bit of a shorter webinar today, but I hope that this was valuable to everybody. Please like, share, and comment. Give me your feedback. I would also love to hear some of your experiences on LinkedIn, whether that's from a personal standpoint or running any ads, any marketing, or ads that you've interacted with. Examples are great, and we love to see them. We do these webinars every Wednesday at 1:30 Mountain Time, 3:30 Eastern Time. So glad you guys were watching. Thanks. We'll see you again next week, and happy marketing.